Well, welcome, yogis. Welcome to another class for this yoga session. We're going to do a lot of focus today on our hips, our hamstrings, just our kind of lower half of the body. We'll definitely get some side body and some arms involved and shoulders, but this is really going to be just some nice, good, juicy, deep stretches in the hip area, in the glutes, and in those hamstrings. And we'll have just a little bit of flow as well, just so that we can stay nice and loose and open. For props, I am already on my blanket. It's a great thing to have handy, not only to sit on, but there's going to be a few times when we're in our lunge position or our lizard positions that those knees might want that extra padding and comfort. And then I have two blocks available and handy. It's not completely necessary, but it's always, again, nice to have, especially again when we're in some of those postures and need a little bit of just, the ground coming up to us, the earth rising to us. So that said, let's go ahead and get comfortable. We're just going to be in the seated position for just a few moments. Let's close the eyes down and just take a few moments just to check in. Finding that nice tall spine, rolling the shoulders down and away from the ears, maybe tipping back slightly so we can find a little bit more space in the back body. And it's always a good thing just to take some nice deep inhales and exhales, letting go of our day, letting go of our to-do list that is before us or after this practice. Next inhale, let's just dip the chin down towards the chest, finding that nice long neck. Feel into the back of the neck, keeping shoulders rolled down and away. And then drawing a line with the nose, taking a peek up, opening up the heart a little bit, opening up the throat, looking up towards the sky. On that next inhale, let's dip the chin back down towards the chest. And we're just going to find a few half neck rolls. So we're just going to peek from one shoulder, release the chin down towards the chest, and then take a little peek over that opposite shoulder. Let's do that a few more times, feeling into the neck. Just being cautious that we're not tossing that head forward, that we're really being very gentle with the neck. Finishing up that rotation and bringing the head back up to center. Taking the hands on front of the shins. If you have the legs long, that's just fine too. And we're just going to find a few of these cat-cows in the seated position. So we're just limiting how far through we're going by having the hands a little further closer or a little closer together as we rock forward and back. Just getting a little bit of decompression out of that spine if we've been seated today. And finding that nice fluidity as we move forward and back. Rising back up. If you are still cross-legged, go ahead and take the arms out just a little bit further onto the knees now. And we're going to find that same movement, shifting back and forth. Noticing that we have a little bit more mobility or a little bit more range of motion here with the arms extended a little further out. And let's just find that really good forward movement, feeling it through, ripple through the spine, pressing back a few more times. And then bringing yourself back up to that tall spine. You're going to lean over towards the left side, dipping the chin in and the chest down, and then roll all the way back up to seated. So just a few times with the Suki grinds, coming around and back up. Spending these few moments to warm up and check in. Like I said, we're going to be doing some deep stretches, getting into that lower half of the body. Always so good because a lot of times when we think about our back hurting or our lower back hurting, it is usually associated with tight hips or tight hamstrings. So it is going to be something that is good for the overall feelings of the body. Coming back up to that tall spine, we're just going to shift the direction around, a few more of these soupy grinds. Tipping back maybe a little bit more, or maybe using the palms to press down onto the tops of the thighs a little bit more. And then gently coming back up to seated. We're going to come on down to our back side, coming into our reclined bound angle, our reclined butterfly posture. You might want to use that blanket just for a little extra patting up by the head. That always feels a little nice. So soles of the feet are going to come together, knees out to the side, and just lower the body all the way down. And take a moment to kind of shift and adjust the feet, noticing further away from the body, if that's the sensation that you would like, or if you'd like them closer towards the body. It's always a nice thing too, if you want to stack those blocks underneath those knees to give them a little bit of support here, if that feels like too much opening in the hips and in that groin area. As far as the hands go, you can let them just gently rest alongside the thigh area, or you can even just let them gently rest on the belly, or one hand to heart and one hand to belly. As soon as you find that posture where you can be here for a few breaths, just close the eyes down. And settle into the space. And we can think about our 3-part breath here, where that inhale fills into the belly, into the chest, into the collarbone, and out. Inhaling into belly, into chest, into collarbone, and sigh it out. You can continue on that 3-count breath, or whatever is working for you. Let's do a little scan of the body and see if there's a space that you're holding tension. And see if you can use that breath to release all that tension. We're here for just a few more rounds of breath. Taking the hands to the outside of the thighs, we're just going to gently guide those legs back up so that the soles of the feet come down onto the earth. Walk the feet as wide as the yoga mat, and then just allow the knees to TP in towards each other. So we're going to get that opposite side. So now we are having that external rotation of the hips as the knees come in towards each other. And here for just a few moments to reset. Keeping the knees bent, let's walk the feet so that they're in line with the hips. And then we're just going to draw that right knee in towards the chest. Give it a good hug and squeeze here. Hold here for just a moment. Maybe find that rotation in the ankle in one direction and then the other. Point and flex the foot a few times. Then we're going to take the hands to the outside, or outside of the thigh, and extend that leg up long and straight towards the ceiling. So if it's accessible, you can even bring the hands up a little bit further into that calf area, or if you're feeling really open, you can take a hold of the foot. But we want to keep those shoulders relaxed down onto the earth. And for this one, we're going to keep that left foot planted onto the earth and just feel this good stretch, kind of pulling it towards the face, waking up that hamstring. Hamstrings can be a little noisy, so they like to talk to us and tell us if it's too much. But just find that edge of that stretch. We don't want to go in it beyond that, but just enough so that we feel this good sensation. Now we're going to bend the knee once again, taking that hand to the inside of the leg. So that right hand is on the inside of the leg, and then just taking a hold of the outside of the foot. So that way the arm is on the inside of the leg and the hand is on the outside of that right foot. And then just draw that knee down towards the chest, and actually kind of the outside of the chest, so the outside of that shoulder. We want to firmly keep placing that foot on that opposite side down onto the earth. So this is our half stirrup, or our half happy baby. Our baby's not thrilled, it's just kind of happy. And then notice if you're using the shoulder to lock it into place. See if you can use those triceps and biceps. So we're doing a deep stretch here. This isn't necessarily yin as much as there's a yang portion of us where we're active in this stretch. And we're just continuing to press that knee down to the outside of the shoulder. Find that breath that's working for you. And make sure that we're not tensing in the face or the shoulders or the lower half of the body. We're here for just a few more moments. And then slowly go ahead and release that leg down, bringing it down onto the earth. We're going to walk the feet wide as the mat once again, and just do a little windshield wiper movement. Bringing knees to one side, up to center, and then over to the other side. Knees rise back up towards the sky. Walk the feet so they're in line with the hips. And then now drawing that opposite knee in towards the chest, taking a hold of the shin and really squeezing that knee in. Might want to find a rotation once again of the ankle in one direction and then the opposite direction. You can do a few point and flexes here too. And then we're going to shift the hands around to the back of the thigh and straighten that leg long up towards the ceiling. So imagine as if you're stepping on the ceiling. So we really want to feel that activation of the legs as we're pressing that heel up, as if we're stepping on the ceiling and taking the hands to the back of that leg and drawing the leg in towards the face. And notice, what is this hamstring talking to you? What is it saying in the class today? Now we're going to fold that knee once again, taking that left hand, keeping it to the inside, so the shoulder's on the inside of the knee, but the hand is coming to the knife edge of the foot. And then I'm going to draw that knee down towards the shoulder, finding our half happy baby on this side. Keep firmly pressing into that foot that is on the earth on that left side or right side, as that knee keeps pushing down. And again, there is some arm strength here. We're using that tricep and that bicep to hold onto the foot and really pulling it down to the outside of that shoulder. Capture the breath. Make sure to take all tension out of the face. out of the body and keep bringing that knee down. Noticing if you can find a little bit more space with the breath. So if there's a space that's calling out to you, see if you can breathe into that space. One more round of breathing. Go ahead and release that foot. Let it come down to the earth. Walk the feet as wide as the yoga mat. And we just find that little shift again, side to side. Nice. Taking the knees back into the chest, holding on to the shins or the backs of the thighs. Let's find a few rock and rolls here. Rocking the length of the spine. Just a few times. Bringing a different shift of energy into the body. And then finally coming up to that seated position once again. You're welcome to sit on a blanket if you'd like to. We're not going to be here super long, but we're going to change this now so that we are in that butterfly position, but where the soles of the feet are together and we're seated now. So shift and adjust into this position with the knees out wide. Taking the hands to the tops of the toes. We're going to roll that chest forward. And then go ahead and start to hinge at the hips, taking the chest down towards the feet. And then when you get into that edge of your stretch, go ahead and allow that rounding to happen into the upper back, bringing chin in towards chest. And then we'll be here for several breaths. Still holding on to those feet. Come into a half lift. We're just going to readjust here. So half lift. And then once again, let's melt down. See if we can come in just a little bit further. And using the feet as leverage, and slowly bring yourself back up to seated. Taking hands to the outside of the thighs, guide the knees in towards each other. And we're going to come around to our hands and knees now. Welcome to use that blanket if you'd like to underneath the knees. And when we find that tabletop position, stack the hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. We're just going to find a few rounds of cat-cow to release that spine. So these can be as slow or as quick as you would like. Once again, exploring through the spine, decompressing the spine, really pressing into the earth as we round. And then dipping that belly down, looking up. Just a few more times. Coming once again back into that tabletop position, bring the big toes to touch and the knees wide. So we are going to come down into a child's pose, but first let's just find a little bit of a shift into those hips. So we're just going to find this little wag of the tail. You can make it a little bit bigger if you want to come around into full circles, or you can just kind of keep wagging that bottom back and forth. Whatever is working for you. To release into those hips and into that pelvis area. Release or reverse the direction of whichever that you are working into. And then when we're ready, we'll go ahead and sink the hips, sink that bottom down towards the heels. Really reach and extend the palms towards the front of the mat. Melt the forehead down onto the earth and keep reaching and stretching here. Feel that breath energizing the body. So imagine as if you're tracing that breath from the base of the spine all the way up to the crown of the head. Still staying in our child's pose, just come up onto the fingertips and we're gonna walk the hands over to the right side. We might shift the head over to the right side as well, working into side body and really just think about pressing that left hip, so that left sit bone down, down, down as we stretch and reach the hands over to that right side. Capture that breath again. And then raise up onto the fingertips. And we're just going to walk the hands and that forehead over to the opposite side of the mat. So we're looking for that opposition of really feeling the stretch all the way down through the side body as we press that, right hip bone down towards the heels. Two more breaths. Then take your time to come back around to center, press into those palms and walk those hands back underneath the shoulders and the knees come back underneath the hips. Just find a few more rounds of cat-cow here before we go into our down dog. Coming into some stillness, walk the hands in front of the shoulders and tuck the toes underneath, sending hips up towards the sky. Come into that down dog and then take your time to pedal in here or maybe nod the head out. Just take a few moments to explore in this first down dog. Noticing how this feels to come to our semi-standing position after we've been seated for so long. Coming to some stillness, bringing the heels down towards the earth and the head down towards the biceps. Take a few breaths. Cautious of any props, you might want to move that blanket out of the way and go ahead and take a little walk all the way to the front of the mat. At the front of the mat, put a generous bend into the knees and continue to fold forward into your forward fold. Keeping the knees bent, very slowly start to roll all the way up to standing. Take your time. And when we arrive in standing, roll the shoulders up towards the ears and relax them down, widening the hands, bringing them alongside the hips. Inhale, hands reach up overhead. And exhale, press the air away, bring the hands back down towards the hips. Turning palms, raise back up, big circle. And then exhale back down. One more time, raising the hands up. This time, hands meet above the head. Start to gently bring them into heart center. Continue to trace the line of the body as we come all the way back down into our forward fold. Halfway lift, flat back, and then melt down to fold. Inhale in, back to halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Bend the knees, cross the arms, come all the way back up to our tall mountain. And then drift the hands back again down towards the hips. Roll shoulders up towards the ears, and then relax them down. Inhaling back up skyward. Exhale, release all the way down into that fold. Plant the hands onto the earth and step back again into our downward facing dog. Right heel is going to raise up skyward, three-legged dog. Go ahead and bend the knee, bring that foot over towards that opposite side of the mat. So we're stacking the hips, bending the knee, and coming over with the foot towards the left side of the mat. Straighten the leg once again into our three-legged dog, and then bring that knee in towards center. Step or carry the foot to the outside of that left hand or right hand. So both hands are down on the inside of the foot. Lower that back leg down to the earth. We're coming into our lizard pose. Take a few moments to kind of shift and adjust back and forth a few times into this lizard. You can always use that blanket for that back knee to pad it up. And then coming into some stillness, we're going to take that right hand to the right knee. Press that right knee open, take a peek over the right shoulder. And then allow it to come back into center again. Let's do that 2 more times. So it's a twist here, pressing into that right leg, take a peek over the right shoulder, and then back into center. 1 more time, pressing into that right knee, opening and looking over the right shoulder, and then back into center. Hands come back down, both hands onto the earth. Tuck that back toe underneath, then raise that back knee up off of the earth. So we still have both hands on the inside of this, the inside of the right thigh, and we're just going to find that same kind of movement. Starting to wake up the back Achilles, and then just really start to feel into that front hip. If you want to, I kind of find like a little circle movement here feels good. Just find a little exploration. Coming into stillness once more. Hands are going to frame that foot, walk that foot to center. Step that back foot up to meet front foot. Now we meet in forward fold. Halfway lift, flat back. Then melt back down to fold. Bend the knees, cross the arms, raising all the way up skyward, and then gentle palms into heart center. Taking notice how it feels different from the right to left side. Inhaling, hands raise back up. Exhale, melt to fold. Place the hands onto the earth and step back once again into our downward facing dog. This time, that left heel raises skyward, three-legged dog. Bend the knees, send that foot over to the opposite side of the mat. Stack the hips and feel this good opening here. Notice if you're swaying in the shoulders. You want to stay firmly planted with the shoulders square and planted into the hands. Take that foot long again into that three-legged dog. And then draw that knee in towards center. Step or carry the foot to the front of the mat. Both hands are going to be on the inside now of this left foot as we step that right foot down and release the knee down to the earth. You're welcome to walk this knee out a little bit further if you'd like a little bit more opening, but just make sure that that knee is staying stacked right over the ankle. Take a few moments to kind of shift and adjust here in this lower lizard. And then coming into some stillness, keeping that right hand down onto earth or block, taking that left hand to the inside of that left knee. press that leg open and take a peek over that shoulder. Knee comes back into center, center the chest. And once again, press into that knee, twist open. Back into center again. Last time, press that knee open, take a peek over that left shoulder, breathe. And then back into center. Releasing the hand down onto the earth. Both hands are on the earth, tuck back toe under, raise the knee up off of the earth. And then in this crouching lizard, find a little bit of movement here. Rocking back and forth, or maybe you do those little circles around. Perfect. Come into some stillness and heel toe the foot back underneath the hips. Hands are framing that front foot. Step that back foot up to meet front foot, and we meet in forward fold. Halfway lift, flat back. And once again, we melt to fold. Bend the knees, cross the arms, raising all the way up skyward. And then hands gentle into heart center. Take a moment to capture the breath here. Now we're going to take that left foot and step it behind, bringing it behind over towards the opposite side. So lining up the pinky edge with the pinky edge on the opposite side. Pinkies may not be coming right towards each other with that knife edge to knife edge. So we're stepping that left foot behind the right foot, taking the hands up high towards the sky. And then we're going to keep that right hand up as we take that left hand down. So this might be just enough finding the opposition of reaching into those two directions, or we might want to start to tip over a little bit towards that left side. Keep pressing into all four corners of both feet. There's a little bend in the knees, of course. Make sure we're not locking them out. And then switching the hands, now we're bringing that right hand up, left hand down, reaching in those opposite directions. Really good to get a good stretch into the IT band, and that front hip flexor. Releasing both hands, go ahead and uncross the feet. Give them a little pedal out before we go to that opposite side. Now we're going to cross that right foot, bringing it alongside the outside of that left foot, making sure not to lock out the knees and that the hips are facing forward. We're going to take that left hand up skyward as we reach the right hand down. You can continue just to find that opposition of reaching into two different directions, or you can just tip over a little bit towards that right side. Get a little bit more into side body. Keep pressing into the feet and keep breathing into the ribs. Feel that rib cage expand with the breath. And then switching out the arms, opposite arm comes up. Reach into those opposite directions. Keep breathing. Releasing both hands. Release the cross of the leg. March it out. Beautiful. Inhale, bring the hands up high. Exhale, melt all the way back down, folding forward. Plant the hands onto the earth and step back one foot, then the other foot, coming into our downward facing dog. Right heel raises skyward into our three-legged dog. Knee comes in towards chest, hold and hover for just a moment, then step or carry the foot to the front of the mat. This time we're coming into our lunge instead of our lizard. So our low lunge, lower that back knee down to the earth. Raising the hands up, keeping that front knee at a 90-degree angle. Take a breath here. And then we're going to take a hold of that left wrist, and dip over towards that right side. So we're just kind of pulling that right wrist over towards I think I'm backwards on you. I think I totally messed that up. Taking a hold of that left wrist, bringing it over to the right side. Sorry about that, guys. Feeling this good stretch and opening into the front hip flexor on that left side. Keep breathing. Now release, coming back up tall. Go ahead and bow forward, bring the hands to frame the front foot. Tuck back toe under, raise knee up off of the earth, step the foot to the front of the mat, and we meet in forward fold. Halfway lift, flat back, and then melt to fold. Bend the knees, cross the arms, raise all the way back up skyward, and then hands come into heart center. Pause for just a rebound breath. Inhaling up, exhale, melt all the way back down into that forward fold. Plant the hands, step back, downward facing dog. This time that left heel, excuse me, raises high, three-legged dog. Knee comes in towards center, hold for just a moment, then step or carry to the front of the mat. Lower that back knee down to the earth and rise up into our lunge. Making sure that knee is staying stacked over the ankle and it's not traveling into center. We're really pressing the inner thighs together, but we want that knee to continue to travel out towards the pinky toe side. Arms are raised up high. See if I can get this right direction this time. Taking a hold of that right wrist with the left hand, dip over towards that left side. Once again, feeling into the hip flexor, that side body, active in the lower half of the body, and breathing. A little bit of a balancing act too. Come back to center, release the hands, come forward, tuck back toe, raise knee up, step that foot to the front of the mat, and relish into this forward fold. Halfway lift, melt back down, bend the knees, and shoot all the way up into our tall mountain. Palms come into heart center, just taking notice of how the legs are feeling, how those hips are feeling. We can keep a block handy if you would like. You can keep one at the front of the mat. Let me offer this to you. And you can decide if you don't need a block, that's perfectly fine too. So starting with that block in front of the right foot. Hands raised up high towards the sky. Exhale, fold all the way down towards the earth. Bending into that right knee, placing the right hand down on block and earth, left hand is going to raise up skyward. Stack the shoulders here. So we're trying to keep that left leg really straight but not locked out. And maybe we bend into that right foot a little bit more, that right knee a little bit more, so we can twist open. Concentrating on the outside of those glutes, the hip. Really good to get into IT band as well as the psoas area here. And then we're just going to rotate down, coming into our fold, and we're switching to that opposite side. So now we're bending into that left knee hand down to earth or block, right hand raises up. Continue to breathe. And let's just flow here a few times. You can use block or just let the hand float down as we lower the opposite hand down, as the opposite hand raises, bending into the knee of the hand that's down. Again, twisting around. One more time on each side, bending into that knee, hand floats down on that right side. Bending into the left knee, left hand floats down. And then release both hands down, straighten the legs for just a moment, mount the heart towards the tops of the thighs. And very slowly round all the way back up to standing. We're going to come down into our yogi squat, so keep that block handy if you know you need that. We're going to actually start by turning the toes out to the side and the heels towards each other, but we're not going to make this a real wide one just yet. Let's start with a shortened one to begin with. Inhaling up towards the sky. Exhale, start to sink down, bringing the hands to the tops of the thighs and then coming all the way down into the squat. So like I said, we're keeping this pretty short here where the heels are towards each other. Always a good thing if you want to just use that block to have a seat down. Taking the hands to the inside of the thighs, and then we're just going to wrap the hands around so those elbows are embracing the outside of the shins, and then we're just melting the chest and the heart down. Taking several long, deep breaths. Now releasing the hands, come back up to standing for just a moment. And then we're going to walk the feet a little bit wider and come into more of a traditional wide leg yogi squat. If your squat is right here where you're just standing up or just squatting down, that's perfectly fine. That's getting just as much work into those hip flexors and inside thighs. Or if you want to come down all the way into your squat, take your time to come on down, either to block just like that, and bring the hands to the inside of the thighs. So a little bit different here where we're wider, and now the elbows are pressing the thighs open. Sternum is coming forward, nice proud chest into the thumbs. Beautiful. Just a few more breaths. Hands come behind, removing that block if you have it, and then go ahead and come down to the earth. Wiggle the legs out for just a moment. And then coming into our easy pose for a moment. This might be kind of easier to find this after we've done some stretches. I'd like to have that right foot on the outside. So that right leg is on the outside of that left leg. Inhale, bringing the hands up high. Exhale, melt to fold down. So now you might want to just keep the hands onto the earth, or you might want to come down to forearms. Or if you're feeling really flexible, you can even come down, bringing the head down to earth. Walking both hands over to that right knee. So just like we did in that extended child's pose, we're going to place the hands down over towards the right side and melt the nose down towards that right knee. Come back around to center, pressing yourself back up to seated. We're going to come into a twist here, taking that right hand or left hand over to right knee. Right hand comes behind and twist, taking a peek over the right shoulder. Unwind to center, and then just switch out the cross of the legs. Now taking that left leg in front. Readjust here, then take the hands up high and melt back down into our fold. Noticing how one side feels different than the other. Should feel a good stretch into the glute, into the outside hip, and into the back body. Tiptoe the hands over to the left side and melt down over that left knee. Walk hands back to center, press into palms to raise back up, And let's find that twist on the other side. So left hand or right hand comes to left knee, left hand comes behind the spine. Take a peek over the back shoulder. And take a few breaths into your twist. Unwind and come back around to center. Beautiful. We're going to come back down to our back side. Take your time to come on down. Said we were getting into hips today. Hopefully you're enjoying this, really getting into those hips. So we're going to cross that right ankle over the top of the left knee, coming into our reclined pigeon pose. If you want to stay right here, if this feels good for you, then stay here. Or interlace the hands, take them behind that left thigh, and guide this figure four shape into the body. There's always that option too to hold on to the shin area of that left shin. And then see if you can relax the shoulders down to the earth. If you have shorter arms and it's just like feeling inaccessible to take a hold of the leg, that's okay if the shoulders will rise up off of the earth. Just take a few moments to really breathe into this figure four shape, into this pigeon shape. If you are holding on to the outside of the thigh, go ahead and release it. But we're going to stay with that leg crossed. We're just going to bring it crossed over a little bit more, coming into our shoelace pose. So hands are going to take a hold of whatever they can access. Either it's the outside of the feet, or maybe it's the ankle area, or maybe you're just holding on to the tops of that outside leg. So whatever you can grasp a hold of, guide the shape in towards the body. So this is our reclined cow face pose or our shoelace pose. Bringing this in and breathing. Here for just another moment. See if we can sink that tailbone, that lower part of the back body down onto the earth. See if we can keep those shoulders relaxed, that face relaxed. Now releasing the hands from whatever you're holding on to, but do not uncross the legs yet. Just bring that left foot down onto the earth. Place the hands down onto the earth. Pick the hips up, bring them over towards the right side of the mat, and then waterfall the knees over to the left side, coming into a twist here. You can take that right hand out into a T or a cactus shape. And just really get this good deep stretch. Still working into the hips. I really like this one again to get into that outside glute, that IT band area. Just overall a really good stretch. And then let's just unwind, placing hands down onto the earth to help adjust that body back to center. Release the cross of that leg and just bring the knees into the chest to reset for a moment before we go to that other side. Squeeze the knees in. And then soles of the feet come back down onto the earth. Now crossing that left ankle over the top of the right knee. Finding that figure four shape once again. We can do exactly like you did on the other side, or it may not be accessible on the side. That's totally normal. But you can give it a try out and see if you want to interlace the hands, bringing them behind that left leg as we bring, or that right leg as we bring the left leg in towards the body. Or it might just feel good just to keep the foot down onto the earth. Lots of options here. And just know that one side may be responsive and enjoy the stretch in a different way than the opposite side. One more round of breathing. Now we're just going to continue to cross that leg, so bringing the knees over each other and taking a hold of either the knife edge of the feet, the ankles, or maybe just holding the top of that outside leg. Whatever is accessible, bringing this shoelace pose, bringing this in towards the body. Face relaxes, shoulder relaxes. There's a lot of muscles, a lot of tissues, just a lot going on in those hips. So we hold these for longer so that we can really get into that density of the hip area. Plus all four sides of those hips. We have the fronts, the back, the sides, and the inner hips. One more breath here. Release the hold, but keep the cross. Place the hands down and shift the hips over towards that left side of the mat. Knees come over towards the right side, and we come into this twist here. Arm comes out into that T or cactus shape. Long, deep breathing. Release that hand to support the body, unwind, come back around to center, uncross the legs, bring those knees into chest, give them a hug and squeeze here. And then let's just finish with a full happy baby. So hands come, elbows to the inside of the thighs, hands to the outside, holding onto that knife edge. So this is exactly like that yogi squat that we had earlier, but we're on our back side. So bring those knees down towards the shoulder area. Find that resistance of holding on to the feet. One more nice moment of stretch here. And then releasing the legs, go ahead and extend them down to the base of the mat. Taking your time to come into that shavasana of your choice. Maybe we snuggle the shoulders underneath so that we broaden that heart here. And take several moments to really breathe. This is a great time just to feel all of that work that we did in the body. This is a magical time where we integrate everything, all the great things that we've done. Start to invite little gentle movements back into body. Maybe rolling out fingertips, rolling out toes and ankles and wrists. And we're going to take the hands above the heart and just rub those palms together. Create some heat and friction in the palms. Then guide the hands, the palms of the hands or the base of the hands are just going to rest into the sockets of the eyes. And we're going to wrap the fingertips right along the hairline. Just wrapping the front of the skull. And then use those thumbs to find that little hollow space right there of the temple and do a little gentle massage. And you can use the fingertips to massage the hairline. Taking the hands around to the back of the neck, a little self-massage into the back of the neck, maybe the tops of the shoulders, maybe into the traps. And then take the hands and we're just going to brush them down the body, just brushing away bad energy, getting rid of whatever we do not need. Take the hands above the head, find one more deep body stretch. And then bend the knees, rotate the body, coming over to one side for a moment in our fetal position. Such a great place to pause and feel the difference in the body from where we began. Take your time to press yourself back up to seated. When we arrive in our seated, glide the hands into heart. Take one more deep inhale in. And exhale, let it all go. Thank you, yogis, for joining me today. I hope you're feeling stretched and really good in the body. And I will see you again soon. Namaste.